there it is. Looking across the orchard. So the story on this windmill is my dad found it up Covington, Washington. He asked my brother Randy and I to go help him take it down. Located it on Little Nickel Wandads way back at about 35-40 years ago. And he says, I need some help taking it down. It was in a field that pasture had been sold off to some developers. No more need for the horses and the water, and there we are. So we took it down, and at that time we just laid the tower on our truck, top of my truck. I had a frame on it and the like, put the fan face down on over the cab and went home. And I says, what are you going to do with it? And he says, I'm going to sell it. And I says, how much do you want for it? And I've had it ever since. We stood it up at 3 different houses before this one. So this is the 4th house. First time I had actually assembled the tower. I disassembled it, moving it out because we were moving out of state to get it here. But there's the Aeromotor windmill. Couldn't be happier. Could not be happier. Other than a few bolts, everything on it is exactly as we picked it up. Alright, thank you for watching. Alright, so here's the theory. Here's what we've got. I've got a 6-foot windmill, which isn't out here. It's not needed yet because the tower's not up. And I have a 21-foot tower. This is Aeromotor windmill with an official Aeromotor tower, metal steel tower. And what I'm going to do this today, where are we at? We're January 29th, 2025, is we're going to pick it up. And I've got a couple of people going to come over and help me, and we're going to tip it. So I've got the 2 outside, inside frames, whatever you want to call them, 2 sides done. They're assembled. This one will be carried into place at the right time. This one is where we're going to tip it. We're going to use the wall to offset our height and counterbalance because none of us is over 7 feet tall. So we're going to pick it up, lean it up. I've got these 2x4s here bolted to the sides to act as crutches. I've got this 2x4 with a bracket on each end of it that will attach to the base and be a spanner that goes from here out. And then when the second one goes over, when this one goes over there, we'll attach it also, and it will prevent the bottom from being dug into the dirt. So if we try to pick it up now, about the time we get to here, it's off center, top heavy, it'll fall over. But if we have it up against the wall, it won't fall over. So some stops up here, well, I don't know whether we'll use those or not, because we've got 3 crutches on this side. So this crutch here will be an angle that comes down this way from that point to this side of this board, and that side will be bolted onto there, and so that'll be a crutch right there. This is a 10-foot 3rd leg, and what I've done is I've attached it onto the cross point, but I didn't want to damage or scratch up the galvanizing on that cross piece there, so I've got a U-bolt on it, and this is loose that slides that way, but this will not slide, so it stays stable in the center of the point. and it's 15 feet long with the extension on it. The cross point here, this brace is at about 14 feet high, and so because of the lean in and etc., I should be able to have plenty of room to put that up, leave that cross brace in place long enough to get the base done and the bottom set up, and then we'll take that piece off of here and we'll switch it over to where it's on this cross piece right there. When this is in place, to tip it up, I've already got the tower post in so that when the other half of this comes up and meets it, well, all we need to do is to slide this up and that'll go in. I've got a rod down the center here. See, I've got a rod down the center of the mast post, and a plumb bob will be on that to give me approximately 3 feet in from the wall down there, so that this is roughly centered. Once this is up, I've got the side cross spacing pre-assembled, and I will bring it individually, bring those over and bolt those onto the side so that it'll be kind of, you know, just got the side up there, got the cross pieces on both sides of that, and then when we tip up the other one, it'll just beat to that and work off the ladder to secure it in place and put the tower. This is not where the windmill and tower will go. We're just using the wall to tip it up. Once it's done and assembled, I can then slide it out and it will go approximately where this pile of dirt is, or approximately where that stand is, that workstation is, and I will bring in a auger and we'll punch some holes down so that we can put the legs about 4 feet deep into the ground and secure this windmill in place. Once that's all done, we'll follow up. I'm going to pick the windmill itself, the fan up, by a gin pole that I've made, and that will be at a future, you know, we'll catch that up onto the next video, attach it onto the end of this, I hope, as far as my assembly. The reason we're using the wall is because this is a backyard and it's inaccessible by any vehicle. I cannot get a crane in here unless I pay big bucks for a long boom crane to sit in the neighbor's yard, and so we're going to do this by hand. I figured it's not that heavy to do as long as we do it in stages. I could probably lift that thing up myself as long as somebody was managing the third leg, and it would be held up. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to set the camera up from a vantage point so that, let's see, I had a vantage point over here, so it'll be watching the view as it goes up from about this position. All right, there we go. We'll see what happens. Thank you. That says we're like way out of, we're still not even near where we gotta go, but we're in the process. All right, so what we're doing is there's a pencil mark on the other thing. Yes, good to see it. This, okay, good. That's a, so those will slide in and we'll clamp that to about there. Oh, 12. Oh, I see. And then pull this over. Yeah. So I have to go a little further, okay? Yeah. And this will go there you go. That kind of, there's a gap, if you will.
Now, probably could come back just a skosh.
Okay,
On your
so
mark, you want to look at it and see how you like your mark?
here, let's do this. This mark is general, so we're actually a little low and a little high. I'm not too worried. Let's set these bottom pieces up. Because on this end, what we have is our lifting, and then our fulcrum, we just don't have the advantages of the stops.
Well, we kind of do.
Well, I mean, the other day.
Oh, you're right, the eight footers are gone. Right.
All right, so. That's
Whoa, you're losing your nuts.
I'm losing a little barely. Okay, so let's start. We'll start pushing it up here and see if we can walk that in.
Jerry, put together.
All right.
And I'll get this in.
We'd be about close to what I add about straight up and down fairly soon.
Yeah. The only problem that I see, Jerry, is that you have a big one direction, but
That's okay. Let it go ahead and hit the power. Right there. Okay, so if, Dennis, I'll tell you what, why don't you come over here to the floor? I've got for you. I'm gonna push it.
It's actually leaning on this
That's
here.
Okay,
And that's what we want, right? We want to get that. And then, can I get a nut? Can I get a nut?
Yes. Tracy, if you could grab a nuts and bolts, please.
Where are they?
On the
Right here.
bag. Okay, so this is a couple of days later. We tipped the frames up a couple of days ago, and got it ready to move. And so today is holes. We need to dig some holes in the ground. So we got the auger here. We've got some stakes in the ground that represent where the holes are going to be. This first one here is a reference. Then there's these 4 inside stakes are where we're marked out for where the holes go. And then I'm going to punch a hole here at the center where the pump would go. And so we have that as a future thing for a false, a decorative thing. And I think we're getting ready to go. This is day 3. All right. Well, it's windmill moving day. What we've got is that tower that I pre-assembled over next to the wall. Got it kind of squared off at the bottom, some support so that it won't shift. I got some holes drilled. We got leg hole here, leg hole there, one over there, and that one far over there. Center one, just for decoration. We'll see what happens as far as pumping water maybe. I don't think we're going to get any out of the ground. And we have a tow vehicle. We're going to use the Rhino cable stretched out. We'll find out how. All right, here we are. This is Sunday, the February 2nd, I think. And we now have the windmill tower base all propped up. The level to within a 32nd of an inch across the perimeter, or the diagonal. And still working on getting the tower finished assembled, but quick as that concrete sets up, which we poured into the holes, we'll fill it with dirt and tamp it all down, and then loosen all the bolts up one more time, and then claw to the top and work the tower, work the top. So it's getting there, it's progressing. Here we are. out, stop. Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This is not good.
Mechanical failure at that point?
I lost the pin out of the winch.
Oh, no. Must it on the ground?
It presumably fell on the ground.
You want me to go look?
Please,
Look.
please.
Bobby's got the line.
Okay, so nobody do anything.
Can I look to the pin?
Yes, I'm sorry. What I mean is no one do anything with regards to the fan. Okay. Well, I was working up on the windmill. Let's see. While I was working up on the windmill, I was using this Hallmaster 2,000-pound capacity worm gear hand winch. Note, it's only 25 feet of cable of wire rope. And so I was able to overcome that just barely for putting up a windmill or a tower like I did. I'd want to make that 5 feet longer and stretch it. Now, actually maybe put another cable on there. But here was, on the video, I kind of glossed over the problem I was having with it. At the top of the mill, while I had the windmill just about 2 feet away from station positioning on the top of the tower, this pin right here holds the worm gear in place on this shaft. And it was a solid pin from the factory instead of being a roll pin that you see there now that I put in. And it sheared. It sheared right off. I mean, completely. It broke into 3 different pieces. The one side sheared off, and then next thing you know, the next side's off, and the only thing left is the center piece. And so my handle's just spinning. It's doing nothing at all to the lifting my fan, and I was a little upset. I'm 20 some odd feet in the air, got everything all set up, ready to go, and I have no way of lifting it, and I'm locked in. There's nothing I can do with either letting the fan down or anything else. Fortunately, being the worm gear, it locked it, and it didn't move the fan at all. So what I ended up having to do was send someone to the garage. We got a couple of roll pins, but I couldn't get the right one to fit in there. Instead, the only one I had, I mean, working on it in place was almost impossible. I put a smaller diameter. The only one I could put in was a smaller diameter roll pin that didn't stop it. And so I would turn it a couple times, that roll pin would fall out. As long as it's under tension, it was okay. But if you stopped to reposition the fan, the roll pin fell out. So you had to put another one in because it went to the ground. And so if you want to use one of these, and I highly recommend it, by the way, the reason is because you can put an impact wrench on this. You saw me using an impact wrench to pick this up. And that's maybe what sheared the pin. I don't, it shouldn't have, because it says, that's ability for it. But anyway, and it's mounted on this outside because you're standing sideways or maybe the other side to work on your fan, and if you have a crank on the side, that's going to be in the way. I felt it was a problem. And so having it out here was great because it's behind you, the structure's here in front of you, and it was easy to do. But I would make sure that you have a couple sets of roll pins with you and a hammer and a drift, and add that to your tool pack at the top of the mill. So just wanted to touch on that. and the 25 feet. My tower is 21 feet tall. I had a 6-foot fan, and by the time I put that over the top of my gin pole and back down to the ground, I had nothing. I had 3 wraps on the drum, and that's not enough for me to lift comfortably lift the mill. So if I was to do this again, if I have to go back up there, I'm going to change out this cable to a longer one, just simply so that I have that flexibility. Okay, so we've got the windmill up here, and I wanted to show off the support that I made. And let's see, we got, that's his.
You're gonna put it all on the trailer.
That's a good idea. So, got this bar here at the top. Can't see. May have to get a better picture. But anyway, I got the rollers on, and we'll show that off when I'm done. But the real thing I wanted to show here was the attachment point that I made. And so that attachment point here at the base, that aluminum plate that the square 2-inch square tubing post is in, and then that plate comes down, and I bolted those angle on the inside and that framework on the, or angle on the outside rather than the framework on the inside, so I could just clamp that really tight to the base and it wouldn't move. And then I've got a cross piece there at the center, you can see, that goes over to a pulley I put on the outside and the other, oops, pulley, there we go. I'm sorry, pulley on the outside so that it would not touch the windmill platform while I was bringing everything up. And so that is the clamp. And then this point here, where I made, let's see, angle, okay. So I made this here, and it's spaced out so that the distance crossed here to the tubing makes this post nice and straight. So this is like 4.5 inches, about 3 inches or 2.5 inches out down there, and it swings open. I've got a bolt in the back corner over here, and I can't get it anyway. Back corner right here. Pull that bolt out, and this bottom plate swings out and allows me to take it off the tower. So those are the 2 points that I had.